Thank you, Jacqueline, and everybody else. We good. I think the majority of us, especially those who are in the Western Cape, who would have been on campus today, is very glad. I can officially declare today as the opening of winter. It's wet and cold and miserable outside. Hope that everybody's well, that there's no roof leaks and stuff like that, and that everybody is healthy. I'm still battling with a nose that's blocked for one day and open the next, but it's also fine. At least I've got 4 other senses that I can still use effectively. In general, everybody, how's the mood on this Friday? Very glad that you're not on campus. I know there will be, to the contrary, some of you said, nah, that's fine. I would have actually enjoyed being on campus. You're lying to yourself. Don't do it. I know that you prefer to be under your duvet, your blanket, wherever you are at the moment, and enjoying your cup of hot tea or coffee or hot chocolate that you have next to you, which you would not have been able to do when you're on campus. So enjoy your circumstances you're in. Welcome to everybody across South Africa, wherever you are. And yeah, hopefully we can brighten your day with some enlightening news this morning on what the 3 P's of the marketing mix is that we will add to the existing 4 to make sure that we can effectively market services as opposed to only those 4 elements of the marketing mix that's applicable to the marketing of products. Right, everybody, where are we? Are we on the same page? Are you ready to go? Seriously? Has nobody got a voice this morning? I'd like to hear. I'm missing you, students. I'd like to see you. Thanks, Tiffany. Ready to go? Good. If Tiffany says it's ready to go, we go. Right, people, up to this point, thank you, Chocolate is also ready. Are you ready as well? You're born ready. You're actually ready. You're waiting actually to catch a wave. Or maybe you've caught one this morning already, because I know that weather like this sometimes actually bring out nice waves and surface like that. Anyway, we'll get to the fun part later on. Tomorrow morning is going to be chilly, but at least the rest of the weekend looks, if it's not going to be that wet. Not that it ever matters to somebody who's a water baby like Tarquin. Students, yes, as I said, what we've determined up to this point in chapter 10 on services marketing is that it is distinct. There are distinct differences between products and services. The 5 specific characteristics that we have addressed. Can anybody help me with that? I can. Tangibility is the one that or the fact that products are tangible and services are intangible. Can't touch it, can't feel it, can't smell it, can't use your senses to convince you that to use a particular service as you would probably with a product. The fact that there's inseparability. Product is on the shelf. You go into a shop, you buy it, you pay for it, you take it home, you use it. Products, service is totally different. Services is inseparable. The person or the company providing the service needs to be present, as well as the consumer who wants the service for it actually to happen. Like going to the doctor, either you or the doctor can't be absent, because then the service can't be performed. We have also looked at a characteristic that refers to the heterogeneity of the product. Can anybody help me? What's the heterogeneity as a characteristic that distinguishes between product and service? What does that mean? Just to see if everybody's awake this morning. I'm waiting. Anybody? What does heterogeneity mean? What does heterogeneity refer to when we talk about a characteristic that distinguishes it from a product? Anybody? Oh, now we've got to quickly go back to our notes. People, these are important things. You should know this. Ooh, it's a slow Friday. I think we each have to get up and run around our beds or our lounges or our houses, whatever the weather allows and where you are, once just to get back because you are definitely not awake this morning. Students, what does heterogeneity mean? Anybody, please? Another was given was gonna give it a go. Are you giving it a go? Anybody? People, if you cannot distinguish between the service and the product, you will not be able to market it. It's important that we know this. Please help me out. What does the heterogeneity of a product or service refer to? It refers to uniqueness, Mikhail, thank you very much, but not just the uniqueness of the offering. There's something else that's missing. Thank you, Tarquin. Yes, it refers to the quality of the service delivery that is going to be inconsistent because of the presence of that one item on the screen that you see now, and that's people. The involvement of the human element specifically in the service delivery process makes it difficult for the service to be consistently delivered at the same level that you as a customer expect it to be. If you go to a shop and you buy a product, there are 10 products exactly the same in the same packaging, duplicates of each other. You can pick any of those packages. There's been a quality check already, and the experience that you'll have is exactly the same. You go to a restaurant, you'll have a great experience. You go back to that same restaurant, it's a different experience because there are different waiters and waitresses on duty. There's a different chef working in the kitchen. There's a different manager on duty that evening. So the experience is inconsistent because of the involvement of human beings. We also have the fourth one, which is perishability. It means that you cannot store a service. You can store a product. You can buy it and then use it sometime next week, sometime next month if it hasn't got an expiry date on it. A service is different. If you book a plane ticket to fly from Cape Town to Johannesburg, leaving 4 o'clock this afternoon and returning on Sunday afternoon at 4 to Cape Town, you cannot arrive at the airport tomorrow afternoon. You've missed your flight. You cannot store that and use it whenever you want to. There's a certain time and date that's linked to that service being performed. You cannot have your hair cut if you haven't made an appointment. If you haven't, and you're just walking into the barbershop, then you'll have to wait if they are busy with other people. So there's again, but you cannot take that service home. You cannot, and that refers to the perishability of it. And then finally, it's also the lack of ownership. You cannot own a service. When you book a weekend for yourself and friends or for family at the hot water springs in Godini, you use the services for the time and the weekend that you are there. It's not your place. You only temporarily buy the access to the use of the facilities that's at offer and that's provided by the service provider. Those are the 5 distinguishing characteristics that we look at if we compare products and services. Because of those five, there have to be different ways in which we market our products. In other words, in this particular chapter, we're talking about marketing communication to services and marketing processes of services. And for that reason, we have to look at three additional components or elements that we add to the original 4 Ps of the marketing mix. I'm very scared at this point to ask any of you what those 4 Ps are, based on most recent evidence of you being very, very, very uninvolved this morning. But I'm going to try it anyway. The 4 Ps of the marketing mix. Please enlighten me. What are the 4 Ps of the marketing mix? Thank you very much, Tackler. Those are the 4 Ps that's included in the marketing mix that has to be present, and the ones that these are the things that we manipulate to ensure that we can satisfy the needs of the customer. And in addition to that, if we are now marketing a service, we add the physical evidence. We'll have a look at what that means right now, the processes, and we add people. Not that there are not people involved doing the promotion, for instance, in the original 4 Ps, but the people that we refer to here are the employees of the service provider, as well as the clients that they work with. Because of the inseparability, both of those need to be present for a service to be delivered, and that's why we include both employees and the customer. Right. What does the physical evidence refer to? The physical evidence, and if you have the opportunity later on to have a look at that YouTube clip that I have in the bottom right corner, it's about Google. And Google has been rated and been through various surveys as the best company to work for. And the reason why they do that, you will see on the next slide, we have some images that you will also see in that YouTube clip. For those who don't have access or sufficient data to have a look at that YouTube clip later, you can have a taste of it by looking at the slides on the next screen. But basically, your physical evidence as an element of the marketing mix refer to everything, the organization, all the physical facilities of the organization. It could be the premises, it could be the branded vehicles, it could be your stationery, anything that you can touch and feel, and that is necessary to complete the service delivery. We'll have a look at figure 10.3 just now as well, but let's have a taste first of what you can expect when you go to Mountain View in California, where you'll find the head office of Google. By the way, Google has more than 159 offices or branches throughout the world. 69 of them are in America. They have different head office. This head office specifically is we can say it's the head office of the head offices. But then also they have a head office also in California. I think it's in Boulder, where the engineering where the engineers are settled, for instance. The ones who come up with Google Drive and Google Maps and these kind of things. Anyway, let's have a look and see why Google, and especially the physical evidence, and how important the physical evidence of a business is to ensure that you experience that service as top class. Now, people, wouldn't you want to work at a place like that? Firstly, it's colorful. It's totally innovative. It is completely out the box. There's a guy lying on his back, like most of you are currently doing, watching your tablet or your phone or your laptop for the session, for instance. That's just the outside view of the building. They've got bikes parked there. You don't have to come with a bike. There's a bike for you. You want to go cycle while you're taking a break or have a lunch break? There we go. They've got cycling routes there around the building. There's bicycles. You use it, you put it back in the bike rack. No problem at all. Nice entertainment area there at the top. That's one of many. That's one of many. You can look at the back and in the middle of that when you see that Google building, it's a huge building. That's not just the only recreation area they have. Anything you can think of. There's an absolute minimum level number of stairs in this building. Look at that image in the bottom and the one on the left-hand corner, bottom left corner as well. They've got slides. It looks like a play yard at a preschool. You want to get from level 1 to level 2? Well, there we go. I think the only thing they use is to go. The only reason why they have stairs is you actually can't slide upwards. So they've got stairs, yes, that they for you to get to the next level. But if you want to go back, you don't have to use the stairs again. You don't have to use the elevator. You can actually slide down. Very nice, colorful environment. Great facilities. Their meals are included. People, there's nothing that you pay for when you're there. There's a guy in a hammock, basically, with a laptop on his lap, busy working. They've got very nice breakaway areas where you can actually, it's themed areas. It's really, really amazing. And I can understand why people want to work there. I can understand why people don't want to go home after work, contrary to what the normal situation is. Work for most of us people are going to work and okay, we have to do this. We don't really like it. It's not very comfortable. The seat I'm sitting in, I'm sharing the office with 10 other people. But you know what? This is what the circumstances are. This is what I do. I can just imagine. Can you imagine that if you are in a creative environment like this, how you will just be encouraged to come up with new ideas, and that's exactly what's required. And the work gets done. But why does the work get done? The work gets done because the physical environment in which you work is of such a nature that you want to actually be there. You want to work. You actually don't want to go home. And you don't have to go home here because your meals are included as well. There are people who spend the entire day there. They have 3 meals. I mean, they serve breakfast, they serve these kiosks, they serve food. You never pay. When you work there, it's all free. So you can understand why the list is long for people who want to work there. Wouldn't we want to all work there? I'm pretty sure we will. I do believe that we want to work in an environment like this. It doesn't necessarily, because we know that Google is the most recognized brand. We did it in previous chapters and in the world. We know that they're in the top 3 when it comes to brand value. Probably just behind Apple and Microsoft, or maybe just behind Apple, maybe just ahead of Microsoft. And there's a reason for that. And what you see on the screen is evidence of that. It's not just that one office that looks like this. This is completely extreme because it's the head office and then most people are based there. But if you go to any of the other branches, it's something similar. It just creates a environment for you to want to work. And wouldn't that be what every business is after? We want our people to work. They have such a good experience while working that if you pay them on a 26th and not a 25th, they won't be bothered. But not that it happens, but I'm just using an exaggerated example. But you're quite right, Duncan. I will do anything. I will whatever is required. I'm not going to be too bothered. But yeah, I've seen one of the. I haven't been to this head office, but I've been to one of their places, and it's like a toy store for a kid. You never stop smiling, and the people working there, as a result of this physical environment, they want to want to be there. They want to work. They are happy to be there, and they are smiling. And you know what? We all do better when we smile, don't we? Right. Physical evidence, extremely important. Right. If you're not going to take part in a conversation, please just mute yourself, because we don't want to hear any private conversations during the session, please. Anneli, are you going to, do you have a question? You want to ask me something? No, seeing you've muted yourself. Please, people, make sure that you mute yourself unless you talk to me. Right. Yes, the main elements of your physical evidence is basically in two. You can put in two categories. The one is referred to as services cape. The services cape referred to the physical exterior, the facilities, the environment, the signage, the exterior and the interior design of the building, the parking area, the landscaping around the building, the surrounding environment where your business is located. Those are all part of the exterior facilities and the physical environment that the business finds itself in, and it refers to as a services cape. All the others, like your branded delivery trucks and your web pages, your headers on your web pages, and your business cards, your stationery, all things that have your logo, your business logo on it. How, if there's in a particular industries, there are dress codes, and all of these aspects are elements that enhance the particular brand of the product and the service. For instance, your service delivery trucks. Service delivery trucks is predominantly used to do what? You see these pick and pay trucks, and you see the SAB trucks on the roads in the morning, and the Checkers trucks, and all kinds of delivery trucks that have brands on them. Woolies have one. That one on the screen, I think, is from Woolies, but I think that's Woolies Australia. Why does a company have those trucks? What do they do with it? What's the purpose of having a delivery truck? Am I asking too difficult questions this morning, people? Anybody, please? Anybody else but Tiffany, Tarquin, Mikael? Thank you very much, Duncan. Really, and I feel like I'm back in the 80s, where there's a delayed reaction. A number of years ago, when you're talking to somebody on the phone internationally, there's a sort of a delayed reaction. I talk now, and 5 minutes later, there's a response. It's not the case nowadays, but I feel like it this morning. But thanks for those who have responded to my question. Yes, predominantly, and that's the main reason why you have delivery trucks for your business. You want to take the products that you have, and you want to deliver that from, or take it from the warehouse to the retail outlets where people can buy those products. So it's used to transport your goods, and that form part of your business. But it's also it hasn't been done up to, I would say, 10 years ago. It really became very evident as an additional marketing tool. They brand the trucks. You drive behind a truck, it says, listen, not just if you're happy with my driving, call this number. No. If you're unhappy with my driving, call this number. No. It gives you contact details, 086 number. It's a billboard on wheels. It's advertising for your company. They are performing the main focus, and that's to get the product from A to B. But in the process, people, estate agents, many businesses have used this very effectively over many, many years, where they've got branded vehicles. It's a branded vehicle, which is just another physical component or element of how you can market your service. Here where I stay in Durbanville, a friend of my son, he opened a CrossFit gym just after he finished school a couple of years ago. He's got 3 branded vehicles. Obviously, his mum's driving one, he's driving the other, and I think his other partner in the business. But when you see the Mini Cooper driving past, it's fully branded all around the vehicle, telling them this is where you can find my gym. There's my contact details, and it doesn't go unnoticed. The only problem, the downside to that is, and I experienced it yesterday when the traffic was quite heavy, and a company that I won't mention now, one of the employees driving in a branded vehicle was one of those individuals who got stuck in the middle of the intersection. You know, those people who actually block the whole intersection for you, and then no traffic can go anywhere because they were just too impatient to wait for 5 minutes until the light goes green again. Now, that's the downside to it. You cannot drive like Lewis Hamilton. No, it's a bad example because he's a good driver. But you cannot, if you have driving a branded vehicle, unfortunately, you have to set an example. Another image there that the 2 images that you find on your left-hand side, bottom left-hand side, is of Etaqueni Lodge, which is in the Eastern Cape. Very, very exclusive. I think they charge you 9,000 Rand and per person per night. But you can see from those images that your experience is world class. Game drives, the big 5, all of these things are included. Basically, you get there, you pay the 9K per month, and everything. There's no hidden costs. Okay, if you open the bar fridge and take something from the bar fridge, you don't have to pay for it because at 9K per person or per head per night, it is all inclusive. The other image next to the truck, the one, the 3rd image in a row from the left and the bottom, is a place that I did not frequent very often when I was in the UK, in London specifically. And that's the retail outlet called Harrods. A lot of people, that's where the royalty shop as well. What makes Harrods special is that I think it's a 5 or 6 story building, but every single floor is about the size of a rugby field, and it specializes in something. So there's a whole floor just for food, there's a whole floor just for clothing, and a whole floor just for toys, for instance. It's an amazing experience. That particular image is I think on display, was on different cheeses. And I really, when I walked through that, I thought, right, I mean, I know cheddar, I know Gouda, and maybe a few others, and blue cheese, but Parmesan and these things. I stopped counting after 50. They're all represented there. So it's a very exclusive shop, but it's not exclusive to the sense where it limits certain or excludes certain social classes from visiting. I was a traveling working tourist in London. I was definitely not earning millions of dollars, and I was getting paid. Initially, I was getting paid in cash on a Friday, because the time I was there, we as South Africans weren't permitted to have full-time employment, so I couldn't be on the payroll. There would be some issues. That changed while I was there, but even I could shop at a place like that. The prices are not that exclusive. It's just the whole experience. The environment is such, it's actually wow. It's a wow experience around every corner. Yeah, that's why I thought I would like to include that as one of the images, because it's another amazing example of how the physical environment of the business itself completely enhances the experience of the services that they offer you. Really amazing. There are a few others that I can mention as well. I'm not when I went to New York, for instance, and I went to the Toys R Us. My kids were still at that stage in a phase of their life where they were very interested into Lego. So I went to the Toys R Us at Times Square, and I tell you what, I was a kid again when I walked in there. It is amazing. You think Toys R Us in South Africa is big? That is out of the world. It's a whole different experience. You don't even have to buy anything. Just the experience itself is a bucket list tick. But to me, that was also an amazing experience where the layout and the design and the use of colors and the entire interior design and layout, the signages that was up all over, it was amazing. It's an experience in itself. And yes, obviously I went there with the intention of buying Lego for my kids, and I did. But it was almost like, okay, right, I got what I want. What I wanted, but I don't want to leave. I want to just experience a bit more, and that's something that very often is forgotten. That the physical environment of the business that we of the service that we offer is extremely important. Not just the physical aspects that we've discussed so far this morning, but also your location, where you are. If I'm going to go to a doctor that's located in a dodgy area, I'm going to be very, very wary until he's proven himself as being a very good doctor. If I'm going to battle, and I might have used this example before previously, but when I stayed in Stellenbosch just after I got married, I lived on the Franschhoek side of it, up there in Jonkershoek, and within a kilometer from there, there was a supermarket that could actually satisfy all my needs. But I drove to the other side of town, 5, 6, 7 k's other side of town, because that particular venue, I always found parking, and that was to me very important. There's no thing. I visited another, ironically, it's the same retail brand shop yesterday, and their parking lot is just. It's here in the northern suburbs. Their parking lot is. I'd rather park a kilometer away, walk to the shop, because the parking itself it's an accident waiting to happen. But again, all these physical elements of the environment is very important to add to the value that you as the customer get from the service. Remember, the value that you get from a product, you can immediately taste it, you can immediately experience it, and by using all your senses, your needs are satisfied. To satisfy the need of somebody using a service, we need to add more, and by adding more is by adding all these elements that will enhance the experience that you have, to walk away and say, wow, I'm coming back to this place because it was nice. Right. Anybody, any questions at this point, or are we all good? Thank you. Let's progress. The next element is that of processes. Now, processes basically include all the procedures, the mechanisms that make the activities flow. My apologies. Excuse me. That make the activities flow in the service delivery process. You get some of these processes are slightly more complex than others, and some are much simpler. Garden services, for instance, you need some tools, you need some people, and you need maybe a bucky and a trailer, and you're off. You can provide that service. There's not too much preparation that needs to happen, because one garden is different to the other, and you know what you have to do when you get there. You cut the lawn and the hedges, and remove all the That's onkruid. Ek kan nou net hierdie stadium on a Friday morning. I'm also reaching that point where all the weeds and stuff that you have to remove from the garden. That's what you do when you perform a service like that. Do you need any skill training to perform that service? No, you just need to actually have a strong back and no specific training necessarily is required to conduct that service. It's more complex when you're actually in a hospital, like a doctor, for instance, or a surgeon. They need professional training and qualifications to be able to perform that service, and that makes it a bit more complex, or the processes involved a bit more complex. The people involved also need different levels of qualification and skill. You've got your general practitioners, you've got nurses, you've got the admin staff, you've got the surgeons who specialize in certain fields. You can even include the pharmacist as well. Like most hospitals now have pharmacies on the premises, in-house pharmacies that you can actually use. You've got your pathologists for blood tests and stuff like that. So that's all services, and that's part of the process of ensuring that that hospital can perform the medical services that you're expecting to perform. But it's a bit more complex. The processes involved and the procedures than it would be for, let's say, for instance, the other example I've used of a garden service. Right. The final aspect that we'll deal with today, and to conclude this chapter on marketing, on the three extra P's that we add to the marketing mix, is people. You need people, as much as it is the most challenging component to manage. It's also the one that is most crucial. You need people to deliver the service. You need people to provide information, to handle reception activities, to manage the entire process. No business can actually operate without people. Now, people refer to the employees who are going to play often a role in production of the product, in the marketing of the product, and sometimes actually they are part of the service product themselves. Like, for instance, let's take a dentist, for instance. A dentist perform a specific service. They are the ones who are offering, that's the production. Their role is that they are performing the service themselves. That's the final one. Sometimes a part of the service product, which in this case is the different reasons why you are at the dentist today: to get your tooth pulled, maybe to have a cavity fixed, maybe to get braces, whatever the specific reason is for your visit. The dentist will perform that. The dentist is also the person who, by doing that and doing a good job, is marketing his own business. If he does a poor job, you're not going to return there, and you're going to tell your friends, don't use that dentist. If he's doing a great job, you're going to obviously tell your friends about it, and you are going to return. So very often, although in some businesses different employees in the the fulfill these different roles, very often the entire service or the type of service requires the service provider to be involved in all these activities. Another example is a hairdresser, for instance. Hairdressers are the ones who are taking the calls, making the reservations or the bookings, performing the service of cutting the hair or doing your hair. They're all part of it. Without them, none of the others can happen. You can have somebody who's doing the admin or whatever, but very often they do all these three things. It's therefore important, is because because the employees involved in the service delivery process is so important. Um, you need to recruit them properly. You need to train them to perform that service efficiently. So if you have your own business, you will be motivated because it's your business. If you're a personal trainer, nobody else can perform your skills but you. There are other personal trainers who can perform similar skills, but they are different individuals and different people than you. And because of that, their service will be different, but they are generally performing the same kind of service. However, if any of them are absent, and I saw it happen in my previous life, where there was, and I'm referring to specifically when I was coaching professionally. When I was coaching, you can only coach so many hours. I could do one-on-one sessions in the morning with the university students at Stellenbosch because their classes are at different times. So I can do one-on-one sessions based on when they have off periods. In the afternoons when the schools are out, I cannot do schools during the day because they have school. So from 2 o'clock till about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I could actually be involved at school teams. And then in the afternoons, the team practices from about 5 o'clock onwards for the clubs, or in this case, the university where I was coaching. And that's my activities. I can only be there and work with the people that I have in front of me. I cannot be in two different locations at the same time. So if I wanted to grow my business offering professional cricket coaching, I can employ other coaches. I can, if I was based in Stellenbosch, employ somebody to do the same for me in Somerset West, that can do the same for me in Wellington, or in the northern suburbs, or in Paarl. But I can't be there at the same time at all those places. So I did that, but you have to be very careful that the people that you recruit to attempt to duplicate what you are doing, because there's an expectation from the customers who've been to your clinics that that particular service is what they're expecting. So you've got to be very careful when you recruit somebody that is going to represent your business, and train them properly so they can duplicate it to the best of their ability. They will still become totally different and they will still add their own personal touch to it. But the basics, if you want it to be copied, if you want the people in the other areas that you can't be at the same time, you have to make sure that you select them well and then train them well as well. And reward them well. Otherwise, they won't be motivated. Now, because we're dealing with the three additional P's of the marketing mix when we are marketing a service, we have to not just look after ourselves, because very often the clients are also involved in the service delivery process when services are when we refer to services. When you go to the ATM to draw money, I'll be reluctant to send somebody else to draw money. So you have to be there yourself to actually experience that service. I cannot send somebody else to Johannesburg on my plane ticket. They're going to stop me when if we got past the initial if we got past the initial check-in points, when boarding that final, they're going to stop you because you're not the same person. Okay, so but that will happen much earlier in the process. I cannot. I have to be there. Me, the client who wants the service, who bought the service, needs to be there to experience the benefits of that service that's being delivered. Now, if we want to ensure that the involvement of the client or the customer in the service process is to the standard that we want to offer and that we know they expect, we have to manage the customer's expectations. Customers have different levels of expectation. there's the ideal service. That's perfect. That's a 10 out of 10. You don't have to worry. They are happy. They're going to come back. They will also tell other people about it. There's a desired service. Now, that's the service that you want to offer and that the customer expects to get. And then you have your adequate service, which is okay. Nobody messed up. The experience was good, but it's average. Nothing exceeded the initial expectation. So often we have to predict what the service is, what customers want to have. You also have an unanticipated service. That's where either you expect the service to be, this is sort of between that unexpected or unanticipated service is sort of between desired service and adequate service. You expect, that's desired service, you expect it to be at a certain level, and then you get a wow experience because the service provider have completely exceeded your expectations. They've gone an extra mile, like Avis basically said. The car hiring company. We go that extra mile for you. And they did. The fact is, your unanticipated services can be positive or negative. It could be way worse than you expected, or it could completely exceed what you expected. You want it to exceed what was expected by the customer. And then you have your sort of zone of tolerance. Okay, we're okay with it. But yeah, it's. I think that there's almost it's one thing I hate about where we find ourselves at in our country at the moment is that we are tolerating average service because what do you expect? This is Africa. No, it's not what I expect. I expect more. And we are going to, if we are going to just accept and be tolerant, because we're in that zone of tolerance where we'll accept it because at least they didn't mess up. No, it shouldn't be like that. It should be more. So that's what the zone of tolerance refers to. Right. We're almost done with this chapter, believe it or not. When you, as a service marketer, want to effectively manage your clients, there are a few things that will help you and will aid the process of how they experience your service. And that is for you to focus on managing the client's waiting period. None of us like standing in a queue. There are different queuing systems that's used. The popular one in retail shops is that it looks like a snake. It's a one line, but there are different multiple points that service you when you get to the front of the line. Still are available, those kind of things. But people, generally, we don't like queuing. I'm not one for queuing. And maybe it's because when I did my national service, you queue for everything. You queue for your food, you queue for your clothes, you queue for your haircut. It's just the endless queuing wherever. Sometimes, obviously, and you learn that through experience, sometimes you find yourself at the front of the queue, sometimes you want to actually be at the back of the queue. In the army, when it's the breakfast queue, I actually rather stayed in bed for extra 5 minutes, or I took my time to get in line for the service of breakfast, because I know usually 5 minutes after breakfast they will give you your first run around for the morning. And if you have food in your stomach, there's only one way that it can go. If you are getting a serious physical early in the morning. So when it came to breakfast queuing, I usually ended up at the back. I'd much rather have a bigger supper, because they didn't really chase you around that much in the evening, and you are restricted to your bungalow and ironing your bed and your clothes for tomorrow morning's inspection. So No. Sometimes you need to queue cleverly, but if you want to add to the a positive and above average service experience for the customer, you need to manage how you need to manage the waiting period. Make the waiting. I know at Disneyland, for instance, they've got Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and all these characters in suits, or people in those suits, entertaining people while they're in the queue. I know when you're in the bank, they've got televisions on so people can watch things while they're waiting in queue. Some businesses, depending on the type of business, have magazines there in the waiting area that you can read. So try and make the waiting period as entertaining as possible, and also maybe an opportunity to inform people of what to expect. You also have to manage clients' participation. In other words, sometimes when they're going online, make sure that it's an easy process, that because you are replacing that specific service, so they don't have to queue anymore, they can go online and do their bookings, that when they visit your site, that it actually is easy to navigate yourself through the different pages. And then obviously how you deal with difficult customers, and you will get difficult customers. I sometimes prefer difficult customers to rather be in front of me than actually abusing me verbally over the phone. I'm pretty sure that that person is not going to exactly to the same extent abuse me if he was standing right in front of me. It's also something that I can do because there's other signs that I can pick up on how to handle that situation, because I actually see the person right in front of me. I don't shy away from these kind of, and obviously it's the best way of handling this is to ensure that you satisfy the customer. If their reason for complaint is not legitimate, or is partially legitimate, or if you want them to return and you know that they maybe just had a bad day, or one of your staff members maybe just had a bad day, so the incident is not sort of a recurring one, and you want to avoid it from becoming a recurring incident, and as a result you often bend over backwards. But obviously sometimes there are some people who are just out to pick a fight, and there's some people who are never going to be happy regardless of what leg they got out of bed this morning. But it's very important for you to offer a top-class service, that you handle difficult customers correctly. There are obviously ways of doing that, but for the sake of this particular purpose, or for this course, it's not necessarily important that we understand all the different approaches. It happens. I think in your second term, there's a module called personal selling, or introduction to personal selling, and then we deal more with how to handle difficult customers, because personal selling actually involves that personal interaction in the selling process. Right, people. Any questions, anybody at this point? This is it for the day. This is it for the week, for that matter. So yeah, my work's done. Not yet, but I'm still marking assignments and setting papers and stuff like that. But I know there are some students who arrived late to the start of the course. I encourage you. I'm going to, over the weekend, individually send you emails just to invite you to share your progress with me and see where we can help you. I know that the assessments that you've missed, there have been certain specific arrangements made to accommodate you, and I know that will be communicated to you guys by the academic office. We got the email yesterday with all the dates, and that has been approved because we had to suggest dates for how to catch up. But I'm going to individually get in touch with you via email, and please, or in the meantime, you're more than welcome to email me with specific requests and where we can assist you at the moment. Okay. Any questions, anybody, at this stage? I'm going to have a refill before our next class in 10 minutes with a nice hot cup of ginger tea. just to keep my throat going. Thanks, Larissa. And yeah, if everything goes well, we'll see each other again on Monday. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy your weekend, but also stay safe, please, because Corona is very active out there. Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks, Kaden. Thanks, Tarquin. See you guys on campus next week. Cheers. Thanks very much. Candace, the whole lot of you. Enjoy your weekend. Thanks, Kaden.